Good morning. First thing this morning, I sat down and started making some little notebooks. I have a thing for little notebooks lately. And I had prepared some cover plates to go on them. This one here is a pearlized paper, and I've printed a feather on it. And so I made a little notebook with some layers on the front to create a border. Just burgundy cardstock for the cover. And then the pages I made out of, I had a bunch of these little notebooks. And they're a religious theme, so I've cut the religious part off, He Lives. And I made this one so that it's a fold-over page. Every single page is a fold-over page, so it's a little bit bigger writing space than the notebook would let you think from the outside. And these are already kind of gummed together like on a notepad. So I just stuck that down. And then I made a little pocket here out of coordinating black to put this another feather on the pearlized paper, just made a little tag with it. So that can be a bookmark, or it's kind of shiny paper to write on the back. You'd have to have a fine marker to write on the back, but you could do it. And then put a little black ribbon for the tag topper. So I thought that one was really cute. I signed the back. And this one was actually the first one I made. So I had this printable of a woven raffia, I guess, wicker look. So I had these printed and then put it on the black cardstock folder, which I just sized to fit and scored the little tiny spine on it. And then the paper on this one, it's been shut while it's drying, while the glue's drying. But I put a little coordinating pocket inside here. I've got to make a little bookmark or tag to go in there. And then the paper on this one was from a large Post-it notepad or notepad with the gummed end. And so again, I wanted to make it a little more writing room, so I made the pages, each one folds over. And I may go back and ink some edges so you can see that better, because you might think this is the page, but each page folds out. And I just thought that gives you more room to write in a small book. And then I like the little pocket, so I just got to find something that can be left in there. It's always a good thing to have something to keep a couple of receipts, or if you're keeping this in your purse, you could keep a certain, not likely a bank card, but maybe a certain card that you collect points or something from a certain store, and then you could keep track of your purchases there or something. So I just thought that was really cute, and I did sign it, but you can't really see it. I got to get a silver pen or something to make that stand out on the black. But just a simple little notebook. These can be just little gifts. They could be inserted into a journal. And then with the offcuts of both of those, where I cut the ends off the pages to make them fit in the books, I had this little tiny strip left from the black and white book. So I made this tiny little notepad and then just put some pretty papers around it. I suppose I could have made this coordinate with the book better, and then it could have went in the pocket. So if you're doing them and you have leftovers, you'd use up all your leftovers from that particular project. But I just spotted this paper in my colored paper drawer and thought, oh, I'll use that. And then this one was the leftovers from the burgundy journal. And again, I could have made it coordinate, but I didn't. So that's the leftover paper from where I cut off the end. And I cut off the little He Lives off of the corner of it. And I had this little taglet prepared already. This was cut out of either an address journal or some journal that I had harvested for all the pictures and lined parts in it. So I just had this little tag made up, and it just happened that it was close enough in size to this little scrap of paper. And then I just cut another one for the back with a little hinge flap that just glues it all together, and then I put another little piece over the top. So again, just a tiny little notepad. Mini things are so much fun. And you could write on it front and back. You could use it for lists or just to have for little notes to people or to jot down a phone number in your purse. So just cute little notepads. So I thought we would make a couple together. And I have prepared a few different possibilities. I'll do one with this same paper so you can see kind of how I did it. So for here, this one I've got a beautiful dream catcher, moon-shaped dream catcher, and then it's got the pearly paper. It's probably hard for you to see that. So I'm going to do the fancy edges around it, but I've got to figure out sort of how big it can be. Actually, I think I'm going to use black paper for this again because I've got a big enough piece of the black here. And that brown piece I had didn't look like it was quite big enough. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my rippled edge. And I like the rippled edge like for this because it looks almost like paper is torn. This cardstock is very hard to do a good tear on. It goes all fuzzy. So I'm just going to do just a tiny bit off the top and bottom. Just enough to get the shape. And I think this side too has to be fairly close to the edge. So I think I talked about these scissors before. They have the word Ripple written on them, but no brand name. So I'm not sure where they came from. I didn't buy them retail. I think they may have even been part of a set. Sometimes you see them like a set of 12 or something. They're fairly cheap. I have better ones that are Fisker's brand. They don't work much better, but they are a little bit nicer. And then, so here I think I'll just do it right on the black without the extra little border. But I just need to figure out how wide I want that, actually. Yeah, I don't want it too much wider than this. So I'm going to go with a very small border. In fact, I think I'm going to take a little bit more off top and bottom, just to get that a little bit closer to the width of the page. Yeah, that's looking a little closer. And I'm just going to make this easy for myself, I'm just going to glue this down. And with this pearlized paper, I don't feel as much of a need to distress it with the ink. I think it looks pretty just clean. Just see an edge there that needs fixing before I glue that down. That's better. My edge is perfectly imperfect. So I'm just going to do a very small edge down this side and across this way. And then I'm just going to mark where I want to fold it. And I'm going to do like 3 score marks, maybe even 4. I think I'll just do 3. And that gives me a spine that's kind of flexible. First, I'm going to cut it to height. So again, just lining this up so that I get about the same amount of border. I'm just going to cut that all the way across. And then I'm going to put this in to my marks, which I can just barely see, and grab my dotting tool that I use for dot painting. And I'm just going to score right in the line there, just keeping my finger on the ruler part to keep it steady. And then I'm just going to move over a little bit and do 2 more scars. And this is kind of like, you know, on a file folder may have not noticed, but on file folders, they have several score lines on either side of the actual fold line of the file folder, and that helps it to bend easier and accommodate a little bit of thickness in the folder. I'm sure there's some tricks for how to make this fold well too. If anybody knows of any specific tricks for that, let me know. I'm just gonna work it a little bit. And that gives me a little miniature spine there. One thing you can do is take your ruler, define it a little bit better, folding it up like that. You're probably yelling at me through the screen to do that. This one too. Fingernail doing it instead of my bone folder. Okay, so there's that. And then I can cut that off. It's kind of hard to follow the line when it's black, but I'll do that. And then I'll take my pad of paper. I think I can use the rest of this one. Just has a few pages in it, but I'm gonna leave it right on the back piece that came with it. And I'm just gonna cut that part to the width that I need it to be. About there. I'll do that with my cutter. And then I'll just glue that down. Figure the less I disturb the book, the less likely the pages are going to come loose on me. So that's why I'm just leaving the back on. And then I'll center that up on the black back cover. And just make sure I've got any glue spills off. And then I'll figure out how much I need to fold these pages. So that's just glued down to the back cardstock that was behind the paper is glued down, and then the papers are still just attached with the gum along here. And then I'll take the whole thing and fold it in with the bone folder. And then I'm just going to take the back one and tuck it in. And then just do that again and all the way. See, this one I wouldn't necessarily have to cut it off because it's a little wider. The other one was narrow and it wouldn't fit in, so I had to cut the bottom section off, and that's how I ended up with the little extra notebook. But this one actually could stay, except I don't like that it says he lives. Not that I have anything against him. It's just not my vibe, especially for a dream catcher. But I could also take and put a little sticker on each one, and maybe that's what I'll do rather than cutting those off because it's so tidy with them left on. But I'll just have to go back and find a bunch of little stickers to put on there, and it's maybe even something I can cut out, like little feathers or more dream catcher images or something, so that can make more sense with the journal. And then I'll put a little pocket in the front here. I'll just find some coordinating pale colored boho feeling fabric and do a little pocket in the front. Don't think I have anything right handy. Some pale green. That could work for a little pocket. Plan that far ahead. I like this one better. Yeah, I think I do. Just more of that kind of soft green. So again, I'm going to space it along the side and the bottom, and then mark roughly where I want this cut to be. And I'm just going to tidy this edge up that was done with a dull blade, it looks like. And then I'm going to use my whale tail tab cutter to do a little half circle cutout in it. And just tidy that up with my scissors. And for these pockets, I like to use the skinny little tip with the acetone-based glue in it around these corners. That's something I've got around the front corners too. These come together pretty quickly, especially if you've already picked everything out. And I think they'll probably sell in the $5 to $10 range, or be really good little inserts into my journals. Or little, instead of a birthday card or a Christmas card or any kind of card that you would give with a gift, you could give a little notebook, and then in the little front pocket you could put a gift card. So they get something that they're actually going to use in the terms of the notebook, instead of a gift card, or instead of a greeting card that they're just going to throw away. And then if there is room in there to give them a bigger gift. The actual bigger gift would be the gift card. So I kind of like that idea. And I can put, like I say, a little gift card or a little bookmark, or even both. You could put a bookmark and a gift card in the same little pocket. And then if I had a mini version of this, I might put that on the front here. I may still do that. And then some little feathers or other images on these little pages. And of course you can ink these pages. I did ink these ones so they weren't so white. I went through and inked every single page. Just the part you see when you look at it. I didn't do the backs of them, which you could, or you could coffee dye them so that they're not white. But I'm just trying to use up some of the notepads that I have, a whole box full of notepads that I've harvested out of books, and wanting to try to use them up because I've got some more to harvest. So it kind of defeats the purpose of always harvesting and never using. Okay, so let's try another feather one. And this one I've got these blue pages that you might remember from my thrift haul, where I got a diary and it had all blue paper in it. And I thought that was a pretty combination with these pastel feathers and this blue paper. So I hadn't really figured out how I'm going to do it yet. These ones I might want to staple in, maybe. This is just barely going to fit, but I can trim it down. So I'll trim it down with the ripples. I'll go to that black line on both sides. The nice thing about the ripple is your cut doesn't have to be dead straight when it's rippled. I mean, it's obvious if it's really crooked, but it's a little forgiving for us quick crafters. I think I'm going to get rid of the black line. And I'm just going to fold this in half. see how many pages we can fit in here. I'm going to try for 10. Just see, it's a little bit long. And I want to get rid of this edge, I think, because it's creating a lot of bulk. So I'm going to cut that off. And I want to keep the hearts and keys because they're cute. I think I'll cut it off just below this line. And then maybe fold these in, or maybe I'll just cut it off and use that to make another little mini. Decisions. I've got these lined up on the factory edges. Go just below that bottom dotted line. And that does not make a perfect cut. Can you do a big stack of papers like that? And then I think I'm going to cut it off about there. My key's going to be offset in the page, but that's okay. It's a junk journal. Mini version of a junk journal. And again, if I had used the rippled edge, that would be a little more forgiving, but I'm going to just go with it. And I think what I'm going to do here is just put some staples down if it'll reach, if my stapler will reach. I'll clip this in place so that it doesn't move around on me, so that I can do it so that the outside has the back edge of the staple. Yeah, it's just going to reach this way. So I'm just going in about like 1/8 or so from the end, from the spine, and that'll put my staple in on the page a little bit. And I'll go one in the middle, not measuring, and one at the end. So fairly even, but I'm going to do a little trim on there. So the staples are in here. I can cover those with a strip of coordinating fabric. And I can put my leaves, my feathers, sorry. And actually, one thing I never mentioned is that when I glued this feather down, I left the top open, so you could put another bookmark or something in there. That one's too wide, but you could put another bookmark in there. So you can get creative with how you glue these down. You could have had a pocket from the side as well. And that's what I was just thinking, is that I would leave myself a little pocket from the side on this front so that you could stick something in there that you wanted to keep track of if you do have this in your purse or something. So I'll do this side. Always put my hand in the side I don't want to glue. And this is still going to glue it down fairly firmly. I suppose if you had something going in and out of it a lot and you were sort of stressing it, it might come undone. And this glue is such a small opening. I think I'm going to have to invest in some different bottles with a slightly bigger nozzle. hard to squeeze. I wonder if any of those companies have an easy squeeze tube. Our aging hands. And just sort of trying to center that up. And going out those 3 sides, and then this will be a place that you can tuck some receipts or something. And because these are such pretty papers, they don't need much else for embellishment, but I think I will put a strip of something in here. I think I have some more of this blue paper. It was set aside for another book, but I can use it. And I think I'm going to ripple it. So it needs to be about that same width. I'm going to ripple both edges. So I'm just going to go a little wider than the scissors themselves. And cut a ripple. And then just ripple the end. And I'm going to stick that right on there to cover the staples. You don't really have to. I mean, you buy a book in the store, you can usually see the staples. It's not usually what you're looking at. That's the thing. You don't notice them. But I just want to have it kind of nice, you know. I put a little extra glue in there just to kind of fill the gap between this where the staple leaves. I guess I could have pounded the staples down too. But that'll dry up and it'll be good. I can even like stamp or stencil something onto it, like a little scroll work or something. And I could do another little pocket in the front. I might come back and do that later, but I just want to round the corners on this. I just like that better, to have those corners just slightly rounded. I use the smallest size on the punch, and it makes it easier to put it in and out of pockets if you're using it in a journal, that those edges don't get caught as easily. So that can be looked at this way because the lines are this way. You could do one in the landscape orientation as well, with the lines going the other way, or with graph or grid or something, or just plain paper. But aren't they so pretty? I just love these prints. And maybe we'll do one more. Let's just see what our time is like here. 28 minutes. Actually, let's wrap it up because I have another one I want to do and it's a little bit different. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing how I made these little booklets this morning and following along on a couple. And if you like this kind of video, please subscribe because there's more coming. And if you like hauls, thrift hauls, shopping hauls, flip throughs of projects, you'll find it all here. So come on back. Thanks for watching today and have a great day.